I was a shy introvert, but when I made these 3 mindset shifts, I was able to cold approach over 100 girls. I vividly remember one time early on when I was starting to cold approach, being at the beach in Florida. I saw this girl walk to the concession stand, and she was my exact specific type. She had blonde hair, blue eyes, she had a great body, and then I saw her walk all the way down the beach pretty far. And I was like, I want to talk to her, but now I had all these limiting beliefs and negative thoughts come to mind. I was like, well, she's so far away. It's gonna be weird if I walk all the way down the beach just to talk to her. I was like, she might be lying down on the towel. It's gonna be hard to approach her. All these negative thoughts and beliefs came to mind and excuses for why I shouldn't go do it. And I had this fear inside, but also the desire to go speak to her. So I acted on it anyway. I went for a walk down the beach. It was actually kind of a far walk. And eventually I got over there and then I saw her on her towel. She was there with a friend. I just went up and said hi, had a good conversation. I got her snap, and then we ended up hanging out and having drinks later that night back on the beach. And this takes us to the first lesson, which is when I'm scared to do something, I take that as a sign to act. Being that 90% of my personal growth has come from acting exactly when I was scared. When you're scared, that's the exact moment to jump and do that thing that you're fearful of. This is what's caused so much growth between personal, business, success with girls. Anything that I've accomplished in this life has come from conquering my fears. Your fears are just a false version of your reality, painted by self-limiting beliefs and negative thoughts that are holding you back from the true things that you want deep down. So what you need to do is you need to reframe reality in a way that when you feel fear, you see this as a sign that is a positive sign instead of a negative sign. You don't think, oh, I'm scared, I can't do this. You think, oh, I'm scared. This is the perfect time to do this because it's gonna cause all the growth and allow me to get the things I want. No matter what the outcome of this one particular situation is, me acting even when I feel fearful is gonna get me closer to my goal. And this was the biggest, most helpful thing that I could have done during this phase of cold approaching, because nearly every single time, especially when I was at the beach, that was probably the hardest setting for me to cold approach. And I had the most limiting beliefs, the most negative thoughts when I was there. And I did it anyway. I had so much fear every time at the beach. Bars and clubs are a lot easier, but it was like there was my hardest spot, and I just did it every single time anyway. And I remember by the time I'd done like 30, 40 of these at the beach, there was one day when I was there, I just walked around from friend group to friend group talking to all these different girls. And this one girl was like, weren't you just over there talking to those guys? Aren't those your friends? I was like, no, I'm just talking to everybody. And that was kind of the way I built myself up. But it was all because I took those small steps of conquering my fears little by little. And if you want help attracting the girl of your dreams in the next 3 months, book a free coaching call with me down below and make sure to act fast because I'm only taking on 3 new clients and the spots are filling up quick. This second mindset shift is what allowed me to get rid of approach anxiety altogether. I remember when I was younger, I would be paralyzed by fear of not knowing what to say when I would go up to a girl. I had a couple bad experiences choking up when I was younger, and this led me to be absolutely terrified of saying the wrong thing. So I never knew what I was gonna say when I was gonna go up to a girl. So even when I saw a pretty girl and I wanted to talk to her, this happened to me all the time in high school, I would start getting nervous, sweaty armpits, sweaty hands. I would get really bad negative racing thoughts and limiting beliefs come to mind. And now it's just like I see a girl and I'm excited. I'm like, ooh, a pretty girl, let me go talk to her. And that's how I act now. There's no negative beliefs, no sweaty armpits. It's just a calm, relaxed interaction where I'm getting to know a girl. And how did I do this? Well, I've broken it down into a very simplistic kind of formula that allows you to take all the guesswork out of what you're gonna say. So I start off with one of 2 openers. I either go, excuse me, what's your name? Or excuse me, and an environmental question. So let's start with the first one. When I say, excuse me, what's your name? I'm just, one, getting their attention. So they're first paying attention to me, looking at me, and it's not like I say something and then she was like, what? And you already start at kind of a negative, that's like a minus. So you want to get their attention, ask them their name, they're going to respond. And then from there, you can ask 2 basic questions. I'll normally say, are you from around here? And are you working or are you in school? Something simple like that, just to get the conversation going. And then the other one is an environmental question where, say I'm in line at a bar, I'll say, excuse me, do you like this bar? Or, excuse me, what do you think of this bar? Is there any other good ones around here? Just kind of talking about the thing that is in the environment, the thing that everyone's doing, but specifically towards her opinions and thoughts on something, not just like what time does this bar close, because then she'll give you an answer and it's kind of finished the conversation. It's kind of like a dead cutoff. unless she likes you and wants to continue it, but I would not recommend that. Really focusing on her thoughts and opinions on the environmental subject that you're asking about. But having just 2 basic follow-up questions about themselves is the best way that I found about this, because 1, it takes all the guesswork out of it, and 2, you can now gauge the level of interest and reciprocity throughout this little interaction that you have. You can pick up on nonverbal communication and body language to see if they're actually interested along with the things they're saying, or if they're starting to kind of give you just one-word answers, their body language is turned away, they're not really interested, they're not smiling, their eyes aren't lighting up. Then it's just like, okay, cool. Well, it was a pleasure to meet you. Have a good night. I'll talk, I'm going to talk to someone else in my mind, right? But you say that and it's just like, boom, next person. No harm, no foul. But it's not like you are throwing yourself out there like, you're the most beautiful girl I've ever seen, and then you get rejected and it feels bad, right? You're just starting basic conversations with people, and if it's going well, you keep the conversation going. If not, then you leave it there, and it's no big deal. And this is the second mindset shift that's done so much for me, taking away all my cold approach and anxiety. Now, this takes me to a time recently, about a couple months ago when I was in Sweden, and I used the exact opener that I told you about. I said, "Excuse me, what's your name?" to this pretty blonde hair, blue-eyed girl, my exact type once again, and she said to me, "No, I have a boyfriend." And then I said, "Okay, awesome, well, have a great night." And I left. And I left this interaction with even more confidence, feeling better than before when I didn't do it, than I hadn't done it yet. So how do I leave every interaction feeling better no matter how the conversation goes? Well, this takes us to the third mindset shift, which is how I literally feel better and more confident even after getting rejected, which is that I use cold approach interactions to build trust in my word. When I have a desire and I act on it, and it was something that I wanted to do, and I might have felt a little fear or whatever it was, like especially back when I was first starting, this was huge for me. It allowed me to build trust in my word, that I had a desire, I wanted to do something, and I acted on it. I didn't let fear and being a coward hold me back. I displayed courageousness, and I went and did the thing, even though it was scary to me. And this is how I've been able to build trust in my word to the point where I don't care how an interaction goes. For me, the win is talking to the girl in itself, and this has inevitably led to so many successes that once you can kind of accept this mindset, it's like sales. How many times do you get rejected in sales? How many phone calls do you take in order to get a sale? For me, one of the businesses I worked for and it had a 4% conversion rate. That means that out of all the calls I took, only 4% converted. That's insanely low. I had to take, if I'm not the best at math, but like 100 calls, I think that's like 4 calls would convert. That is so little. That means that like 96% of the time I was getting rejected, but those 4 calls that closed allowed me to make 8 to 15K. And then when I had some other people working for me, it really stacked up. But this is the same thing with girls. You're not gonna get every single girl you talk to. It's almost impossible to win every single time. You're gonna face rejection, but if you allow building trust in your word and the act of talking to girls in itself be the win, this is what's gonna keep you in the game for the long run. You're not gonna let one bad interaction ruin things for you. And more on this kind of as a side note, if you leave the way that I did those interactions where you're like, "Oh, I have a boyfriend. Okay, awesome. Have a great night. It was a pleasure meeting you." Right? And you just leave it there, you're not going to get brutal rejections. You're not going to have bad interactions with girls if you're just always very nice and polite and respectful. If you just go in and you're just like getting to know someone, they don't want to get to know you back, and you're like, cool. You catch the vibe. You understand the nonverbal communication and what they're saying, and you're just like, okay, no worries. There's plenty of other girls for me to go talk to. It's not a big deal. You leave it interaction well, and then you go and talk to someone else. And then guess what? This girl is interested. Boom, you have a great night. You don't make it out to be more than it is. If someone doesn't want to talk to you, it's no big deal. If you can go in with this mindset, this will keep you in the game for the long run and give you the success that you want. So these are the 3 mindset shifts that's allowed me to cold approach way over 100 girls at this point over the years now. And if you once again want my help to allow you to get the girl of your dreams in the next 3 months, then make sure to book that free coaching call with me down below, because once again, these slots are filling up quick and I'm only taking on 3 new clients this month.